If love were a bird, I would stroke her bright feathers. Then I'd watch her fly free, cross the still of the dawn. And if peace were a mountain, we'd gather around her to bathe in her silence, her power, her call. If wisdom could sing or whisper his secrets, the prayers of the hopeful and the tears of the brave. We long to return to that place of still waters and sit on the banks under some shady tree. In my mind, I can see it, I hear it, and I feel it. And love, peace, and wisdom are all that we need. Some call me a dreamer, some will call me a seeker, one who follows the stars on a quest for the truth. But every believer holds a deep hidden memory of a time when the earth was a flower in bloom. We long to return to that place of still waters and sit on the banks under some shady tree. In my mind, I can see it, I hear it, and I believe it. And love, peace, and wisdom are the three golden keys.
Good morning. Morning, Sister Belinda, Sister Fatima. So Fatima, I'm going to hand it over to you. We're speaking about karma today.
Good morning, Sister Usha.
Good morning. Good morning,
Good morning,
everyone.
Sister Belinda.
Good morning, Sister Fatima.
There's such a beautiful piece of music just now that was playing. And a thought came to my heart that what a wonderful world it would be if our actions were filled with love, peace, and wisdom. I was just so touched by the song this morning. So anyway, today's topic is karma, which is action. And We perform actions all the time. There isn't a time when we're not performing actions. Because even when you're sitting still, you're thinking. And so you begin to realize that there are actions that are visible and there are actions that are invisible, such as, of course, thinking, feeling. Those are actions also. But when we look at karma, because action is such a big part of our lives, actions are divided into two. There are positive actions and there are negative actions, which, sometimes can be reactions to others or reactions to situations. And so I was looking at this and thinking that for one to be able to live a life that is filled with peace and love, one really needs to have that awareness that, as they say in English, actions speak louder. Whatever you do, people see. But don't do things because people are looking at you. Do things from a position of honesty and truth, from a position of wanting to be a peaceful person who spreads peace through your actions. You want to perform actions from a place of truth, not a place of pretense. And so karma or action becomes a very important subject in our lives in that sense. I think I'll open it up to my two sisters at this point.
Thank you, Sister Fatima. Yeah, I like this expression that our actions actually either draw the line of our fortune or lack of fortune, being unfortunate. And, in the week we spoke about that God is not a punishing God. And so often when we are in pain or we suffer, we kind of link it to God in some way. But karma really frees us from that belief that God is responsible for our pain and suffering. When we begin to understand that our actions really do create our lives, the whole experience of our lives. And I like sometimes to see that, when we are going through life and pain does come our way, it's rather like when we sit in the wrong position and a leg starts to pain. The first thing we do is we change the position. It's as simple as that. And so the same thing, when we're going through life and we do experience anything that causes us pain, instead of just trying to get rid of the pain at any cost, and people do many things to try and get rid of the pain, but rather just to look at the self and say, what is the wrong position? And to change that position. And so it's not so much just the action that brings the equal and opposite reaction, but it really is about what is the motivation behind the action. And if the motivation is selfish and coming from an ego perspective, then the return is going to be pain, but not to see the pain as punishment, but just a signal. What do I need to do differently? What do I need to change? Instead of pointing fingers out there and saying something else should change. So what are your thoughts, Sister Usha?
I was thinking what Sister Fatima was saying, because you're mentioning that there should be this awareness of the intention of action, but the fact that thought itself is an action, it just makes us realize what kind of shift we need to bring, this position you're bringing up. And it's almost like, I would say, a positioning that we've been looking at ourselves as a body for such a long time. And so we got stuck in this position that has made us, in a way, create a world that is a little bit self-centered. And so in a way, when we change our, I didn't want to say mental positioning, because it's not really a mental positioning. It's a paradigm shift from looking at myself as a soul, from looking at myself as a body that's limited, to opening up this whole consciousness that I'm actually more than just this body. And so then when I start performing an action based on the fact that I'm a being of energy, as a soul, I will look at everyone as soul, so there can be an equal consciousness. When I look at myself as a soul, then when I'm interacting with others, then I can really understand that we have one common relationship, that everyone is God's child, and so this is my brother's soul. And yes, these are theoretical points, but it starts off with the understanding so that we can shift the consciousness. And you were saying something about pain. And I think it's so wonderful to realize that, say, for example, if something is not a mistake, I feel it's a misstep. If we take ourselves away from who we are and we step away from ourselves, and when we do that, because in archery, they say that to hit the bull's eye, it's perfect. And when you miss the bull's eye, they said, it's a sin. So you just missed your target. And then we call that, a sin. But for me, I was thinking nothing is wrong. It's just that we just stepped away from ourselves and we got a little bit caught up and influenced by somebody else. So I love the idea that we are constantly doing some kind of action. It's not a fate that follows us. It's the fact that we have to perform actions. But the choice is, from which consciousness am I performing that action? From being this master, or am I thinking I'm a victim caught up in this moment, in this place, in this body, in this age, and I have to deal with things? Or I have an opportunity to actually do something, whatever will bring me back to my state of peace, love, and wisdom. So I think it's a nice reflection point, that as we perform actions today, can this action bring me peace, love, and wisdom? If it does, then when I do it, it's going to help me move forward. Otherwise, it's going to take me into that same positioning of pain or discomfort.
As you're speaking, Sister Usha, what's coming to my mind is that the moment you start looking at your actions, you begin to take responsibility of your actions in that sense. And you become very, very mindful about what you do and how you do it. And of course, that takes us back to thinking, because most of the time before you perform an action, you think. And the thinking comes into place that you know that you are a soul and you have all these innate good qualities in you, and that to encourage the self to elevate your stage, you constantly have to be very thoughtful about things, that the actions that you perform, what you say, what you think, and of course your feelings. One of the things that comes to my mind also is that sometimes we come into conflict with one another over whatever, situations. And we like to blame other people for the things that go wrong in our lives. And one of the things that I've come to learn over the years being a student in the Brahma Kumaris is that it takes two to tango. So if I have a disagreement with somebody else, it is my duty to sit back and think, what was my part in this whole situation? Because if I was sitting alone by myself, there wouldn't be no fight. And if the other person was also sitting alone by themselves, there also wouldn't be an argument. But we came together and something happened. And of course, what happened can't be just the fault of one person. I must have done something to trigger it. Coming back to the whole thing of action, sometimes I could be taking the wrong things from what you're saying to me, and immediately I have an attitude, a negative attitude. I do not see my attitude, but you can see my attitude. So that is also the invisible action that I perform without sometimes even knowing that. So sometimes sitting back and looking at what had happened between me and the other person helps me to understand my part in it, so that I do not constantly blame others for the things that happen in my life or between me and other people.
Sorry, Sister Fatima, just one thing I'm thinking, when people go to a funeral, sometimes they just go pay respects, and the next thing they get so full of emotion. And most of the time, they're not crying for the person who died. They're remembering somebody else that they lost. And I think sometimes when we see something happening and we get angry about injustice, like, we can see in politics and all of that, we get so angry. We're sitting here in another country and annoyed with another president of another country. But basically, it's because we're remembering our own hurt and our own feeling. So we can actually never be fighting for justice. I remember once somebody asking a question about justice. And Daddy Janki said, justice is not spiritual, because actually nobody can do unto you anything, because you are the master creator of your life. So if you're playing or advocating justice, it's because actually internally you are suffocating and feeling into a victim form. So I love that what you're bringing about, to always see it's two to make something happen. And so, yeah, it's very subtle. But I know yesterday people brought up questions about destiny, and I don't know if we should address that now.
Well, maybe we can touch on it. I just want to pick up something that Sister Fatima was talking about, and that is the importance of awareness. So often we are quite unconscious about, the repercussions of our actions. And this is why on a spiritual journey, we want to increase our awareness. But it's true that sometimes it's just a knee-jerk reaction. Something is a trigger, and before we know it, we've acted in a way that perhaps we would not choose to act. And it's important to remember that, we, within the personality, there are so many different traits that are influencing our thinking and therefore our actions as well. And a lot of those traits are negative traits, and they were simply created by repetitive action. That is how habits are created. So we also want to address those areas where we just react and very often have regrets. So awareness is one very good way to be aware of your triggers and the patterns that you pick up within yourself. Very often it's the same things that trigger us again and again. But this is also where our meditation comes in, because in our meditation we are sharpening the intellect. And it's really the divine intellect that has the capacity to really see what is happening, and to get the ego out of the way, because when there's a knee-jerk reaction, it is in most cases the ego reacting, and the ego can be quite strong. So it's really in our meditation strengthening that divine intellect so that we can see not what's happening on the surface, but actually what are the influences from my own sanskaras, my own traits, that is being triggered at that time. And because that is creating my destiny. And I have it in my hands to change those negative traits and to create actually a different destiny. But it does take spiritual endeavor and to treat oneself as a work in progress and to keep, improving and polishing up the soul and bringing out those beautiful qualities that we spoke about, which lead to such good actions.
So maybe just before Sister Fatima does a meditation, it's important for us to realize that if I want to change a habit, it's where the decision is making. So one is to create an awareness, but what can I do to enhance what I understand and what I realize? And actually we need to make a conscious choice to reprogram our understanding. So that perception we were talking about, that we were living as bodies and really perceiving that my world is contained within just this form, I need to actually explore that. And it's not about just believing what anybody says. I think it's a study. And that's why what I like what Brahma Kumari is doing. It's called Brahma Kumari's World Spiritual University. So the university is actually our classroom where we actually learning and exploring and investigating and changing our attitude, our awareness, our way of discerning things. And then when things are happening, we actually have the ability to choose which direction I'm going to go. And because you make a conscious choice, you can actually undo old patterns. Habit is what Sister Belinda said, just happens because of repetitive action. And when I'm just doing things repeatedly, I actually stop actually making a choice. I actually become like a machine. So what we're saying, stop being mechanical, wake up, and give yourself an opportunity to choose. What am I going to think? How am I going to speak? What am I going to do? And when I do that, and it can happen in my daily day, I don't have to go and sit in a cave for 50 days or anything. I do it right in this moment. And the moment I choose to do something from my inner self, I'm going to feel the fruit of that happiness instantly. And so slowly I start changing my curve from starting to have been maybe not so positive. And I can slowly, just by those small little steps, daily, moment by moment, being in the present, I can make a big change. So there's no destiny that follows you, that wherever you go, it will follow you. No, you just have to stop, make a standstill, and decide which direction to go. And once you change gear, you're in a new direction anyway.
You changed your position, yes.
Sister Fatima, you want to take us into a meditation?
Yes, just a question, Sister Usha. Did we have any questions regarding today's chat?
So today I don't see anything. Looks like everyone is quiet. Maybe it's a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see how
Yeah.
it goes. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay. So let's sit back and relax. And give ourselves the opportunity to digest what has been discussed this morning. Now that I know I am a soul and my qualities are purity, peace, truth, love, I want to bring these qualities into my daily actions. I want to constantly be in the awareness of the fact that I'm a peaceful soul. And my aim is to spread peace. Now that I know that I can change my old way of thinking, which will help me to change the way I do things, I want to remain in this awareness of constantly being aware of my thoughts, because my thoughts will lead me into performing actions. Positive actions bring back positive responses from those that I come into connection with. I am a soul and I'm eternally peaceful. Peace is originally my religion, and by performing peaceful actions, by speaking peaceful words, and by thinking peaceful thoughts, I spread that energy into the atmosphere. I give that energy to all the people that I come into contact with, because we all want peace, we all want love, and we all want happiness. And it is totally in our hands. It is completely in our power to change the environment that is going through the world today, because we have these qualities in us, all of us. And so as we leave this meeting today, let us sit with the aim in our hearts that we want to give love, we want to spread peace, and we want everybody to gain wisdom from those three qualities. I am a peaceful soul. I will perform peaceful actions. I will think peacefully. And I will spread love wherever I go. Om Shanti. Thank you, everyone. And have a wonderful
Sister Fatima, before we close, I see that there's actually a little question that has come about in terms of predestiny.
Yes.
And I thought, let me just sort of say something there. You know, something is only preordained after an energy has been transferred. So based on what I've been thinking, what I've been speaking, once I've acted, then the law of karma fits in, which says for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the destiny that we normally talk about is actually the destiny after I've acted. It's not that actually somebody has already pre-written my every step and my every move, so I'm only living within the accordance of that. Actually, we are all creators of our own script as well, and we're doing that step by step. So please don't let it kind of get mixed up. In a sense, the law of karma says where there's every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So that's where the predestiny comes in. But it's not like we have a script that's written and we can't change it at all. And I think somebody else is saying we can write our own. Okay, sorry, Sister Belinda said the same thing. I didn't read her message. Well, Sister Belinda, it must be the right thing because you gave the same. So we obviously.
Sister Usha, there's also another question. Maybe we can just quickly touch on it. So Jean asked, so when someone loses their home or job, is it due to karma that they experience such bad happening? And so it's a good example that she's given, because these things happen. But if we suffer as a result, if there is pain and suffering as a result of these things happening, then we can say, yes, that is a negative karma. But we know that the same thing can happen to someone else. And it can be the sort of beginnings of something better, something more positive for them. And their attitude can be very positive. And that is also, that's a positive karma, that it motivates them to do something differently. But if there is that pain and suffering as a result, then we can say, yes, this is a karmic account, and we can actually help ourselves to move through that karmic account. And our meditation is a great help for that, because it gives us power to overcome the pain and discomfort of the loss. I hope that's helpful.
So
Sister Belinda?
practice. Sorry, Sister Fatima.
Okay, sister. Go ahead, sister.
No, I just wanted to read. So are you done? I just wanted to read the action point.
No, I was just going to say also, you can also take into account, when you're dealing with topics like losing your job, sometimes it's motivated by the what do you call it, the financial climate in a country. Like now, a lot of people are in lockdown and many jobs are closing down, shops are closing down in that sense, and people lose their jobs. That's also something else that one must take into account, in that way.
So they call it group karma. But these, I just want to just give our participants a little heads on that after we do this 21 day, we're going to do one day where we do question answers. So please note that we're not going to just leave this hanging in the air. And for today, the practice is karma, which really means to act. I understand that in every act that I understand that in every act I perform, there is an exchange of energy that has an equal and opposite reaction. With this awareness, I choose to act from my inner truth, ensuring that my thoughts create peace, words are filled with respect, actions are benevolent. And so at this point, I'm happy for you to unmute and bring your voice into the room. I know that many have left already, but yes. So thank you and goodbye. And we're definitely meeting tomorrow morning at 8 as well. Again, Sunday.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Okay. Om Shanti.
Thank you, sister.